Okay, how is Assetto Corsa EVO in VR on the fastest gaming computer in the world? We're going to find out right now because on an RTX 4090 graphics card, top of the range Intel CPU, and I have to say at the moment I'm pleasantly surprised. What is that line, bro? I mean, fair play, but oi! I'm pleasantly surprised, but I'm not overwhelmed. Now, just to explain what I've done, I read all of your comments about VR. You've been asking me to try it, and I saw the horror story. Someone said they were getting 1 frame a second. So basically, I'm using the Pimax Crystal headset today. This is a sponsored headset from Pimax. So big thanks to Pimax for that. Go check out Pimax. You want to see all of the mad headsets doing at the moment. But in terms of Assetto Corsa VR, EVO VR, we know that it doesn't run well. That's no secret. I'm going to get onto that in this video. So what I did is, I turned down the resolution in my Pimax Crystal headset in Steam to 75%. So I'm running this at 75% quality, and then in the game, in Assetto Corsa EVO, I basically did the opposite of what I've been doing so far in 2D, which is I turned all the settings down apart from level of detail, because level of detail was too much. Now, I don't like doing that because I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that we're going to reach this point in VR where basically you don't have to compromise on graphics. You can have the same graphics as you have in 2D but get all of the benefits of VR, like depth perception, like 3D, like going side by side here. But we're not at that point yet with the Assetto Corsa EVO VR. I'm not able to do it, which is disappointing. I want to touch on what they said in their promo materials. They did say that, this game would support virtual reality. I made a video on Christmas Day where I said, look, we need more information about this. I'm not feeling comfortable about it. I haven't seen any footage. I'm not sure it's going to be a great VR game in early access. And I want to let you know where I stand now. Now I'm actually driving it as I speak. I think this has the fundamentals of a great virtual reality sim racing game. It's nowhere near where it needs to be at the moment. However, because the handling is so good in Assetto Corsa EVO, in my opinion, and because the detail is so good in the car and what I can see around me here, the curbs, I think it's really top quality. I'm comparing this against iRacing in VR. I'm comparing against Assetto Corsa Competizione in VR. I'm comparing it against Gran Turismo in VR on PSVR 2. On the PS5 Pro. I have to say it's got the fundamental elements. What they need to improve is they need to improve the frame rate. I'm also running this at 90 Hz. I use this headset in iRacing at 120. So if they can increase the optimization and allow us to increase the frame rate, because at the moment I don't have a frame rate counter on, but I suspect I'm sub 60 for sure. I suspect I'm on like 50 FPS, something around that. But it looks to be pretty stable at that measure. So, it's got the fundamentals there. And the other thing that you can't really see in this car, but we're going to go to a different track, is the world scale feel. Doesn't feel quite right, I have to say. Like the gear stick and the handbrake here feel absolutely tiny. But, the effects are quite nice and it kind of broadly works. Now, what I wanted to do here is show you, if you're got a VR headset, you're thinking about racing in VR and Assetto Corsa EVO, I want to show you my video settings. Right, so I realized you wouldn't be able to see what I'm showing you because AC EVO does a really weird thing where it shows you both lenses when you record it. But anyway, these are the settings I've got. I've synchronized my frame rate at 90 FPS in-game with what my headset's running at 90 Hz. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the resolution here because it's basically what I've done in Steam VR, which is go to 75% of the native resolution of my headset, which is the main thing. And then in graphics, hopefully you can see this, but basically every graphic setting all the way to the left, it was painful to do, apart from level of detail I've kept at high. So what I'm going to do now is I'll show you what the game also looks like in kind of the menus and around, and also what it does. So we're going to do another race, but I want to show you how the menus work as well. So it's kind of weird how it shows it when you record the second screen. But the menus here are pretty snappy for VR. I'm pretty impressed by that. We've got all our menus and settings and everything. So I'm going to go into drive. I'm gonna go to Laguna Seca. I think will be fun, and I want to do it in clear weather, and I want to do it in the daytime so we can really see as much as possible. So we're going to do it like that. Apply. So it's all pretty snappy through the menu settings. So I'm going to click Start Session now, and while I do that, I'm going to change. You should see here. This is nice and full screen, but when it goes here, it's going to show both sides, which is kind of weird that you probably don't want to see that. So I'm just going to try and sort it out here. This also will mean that as you can see, I'm zooming it in. You're not going to experience the absolute best graphics that I'm seeing in the headset, interestingly. Normally it's the other way around, and actually what you get in the headset isn't as good. So I'm going to guess when I hold the wheel like that. Okay, so here we go, Laguna Seca in the daytime. You can see the shadowing is not great. I mean, that car has basically no shadows, but I've turned it off. The AI obviously is not great, we know that. But I do think there is the core part of a fun VR game here. And if this was running at, you know, a 90 or 120 off the bat, I'd be pretty happy. I'd already be happy, actually, to be truthful with you. Like, I don't need too much in Assetto Corsa EVO at this stage. I know it's early access. You know, they did say it's VR supported, and a lot of people are not able to get it running. So I don't know if I've got stumbled on some great settings here, or if it's just a 4090 brute forcing it. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. And obviously different headsets. You can run it on a Quest 3. You could run it on a PSVR 2 as well. You can see what I meant by the world for. Oh. Wow, okay, that was a big... Oh, no! It wasn't my fault! I got a black screen. Just when you don't want it. The mirrors are quite low resolution. But the car reflections are great. I feel like they haven't had the time to optimize this yet for VR. And if I'm cynical, I'd say they're going to get a lot of data. Basically, I'm sure we'll be sending them a lot of data through Steam right now. And they'll be looking at the FPS rates. And they'll be like, oh, okay, a 3070 Ti with this processor and this headset gives this frame rate. So let's try and benchmark that and take out some assets, and then we'll see if it improves it. So we are going to be, I suspect we are going to be the guinea pigs. But it's a journey that I'm pretty happy to go on, as long as it's not going to make me sick. And I'm just over that threshold, I would say. Like, I don't get sick in VR. I do a lot of VR sim racing, but this frame rate is not great. And I would say if the frame rate was a bit lower, we might be having problems. But the frame rate is just about okay. It's just about okay. And look at this. Look to Apex here as I completely miss it. It did not help me at all. You can imagine having a nice shifter and going boom as well would feel absolutely awesome. You see the way you can just lead. He went for the gear stick there. Oh, a little bit of counter steering. This is bringing back some memories, this. It's a very satisfying game to drive. I mean, I wonder if we can catch up with some of these cars ahead. Gear shift's so important in these sort of cars. That is horrendous. That's possibly the worst corner in history. That's a crime against motorsport, that corner. I hope you're enjoying this, by the way. If you want to see more VR sim racing on this channel in Assetto Corsa EVO, leave a glasses emoji in the comments so I know. Oh, I have both of you. Oh, sorry, bro. Yes, cut you. That's one way over the corkscrew. Don't think we've exceeded track limits there. Definitely not. And I can see, by the way, because if you're a VR sim racer on PC, you might well have been a rookie at one stage in iRacing. And if you were, you've probably been around this track quite a lot in the Mazda MX-5. And I can sort of feel, I'm not very good at braking here, I can sort of feel that in what I'm doing now. And when they bring in the multiplayer, I can imagine having some great racing here in these sort of cars. And I don't, by the way, oh my god, this is a lot more fun to drive this car in Assetto Corsa EVO than it would be to drive this car in Gran Turismo 7. I can tell you that for sure. Oi! This is where you have the benefit of just more simulation going on. I know Gran Turismo's the real driving simulator, and I love doing daily races in Gran Turismo, like I really do. It's one of my favourite things to do. But I like getting to like the GT3 level, you know, maybe GT4s, but kind of mainly GT3s. Whereas here, I'm pretty sure any car in Assetto Corsa EVO in the roster is going to be fun to drive in VR. Whereas in Gran Turismo, let me know if this is too harsh, sometimes a lot of the fun is kind of the novelty of driving the car in VR. It's like, whoa, I'm driving this car in VR, that's awesome. But it's not about the minute characteristics of the car and like feeling the back end step out and maybe tuning it. I might be wrong, but for me, it's like, whoa, I'm driving this in VR, that's cool. This actually feels like it might be elevating the experience. This might be the way. Oh my goodness, I don't think right now it's not there, but it's already close to being the way to play Assetto Corsa EVO in VR. So even now, I don't think they were fair and transparent enough. They were definitely not transparent enough, because they should have given us some examples of how the game was playing in VR on different GPUs and headsets, and they didn't do it because they didn't want to show it off badly, let's be honest. But I'm glad they've got it in at this stage. There's a checkered flag. I wonder if I can try and do some drifting here. Oh god. Oh my god. I'm so sorry, brake failure. Press the brake there, the active pedals didn't quite work. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. How's your experience been in virtual reality? I'm really interested to hear from you, because this was better than I expected as I explore Assetto Corsa EVO. More videos around here, and I'll see you next time.